High on a moonlit cliff, the ultimate betrayal unfolds. Jin Suwoon, a warrior cursed with a flawless memory, has just restored the Alliance's records, only to find himself bleeding out before his allies. The Alliance leader, Yong Soa, thanks him for his service. But instead of a reward, our boy realizes he's being set up for a dog's death, discarded like trash. Under the guise of a grand cause, Yong Soa draws his blade to silence him forever. Yet, facing down cold steel, Suwoon can only laugh at the hypocrisy. He mocks the Alliance for fleeing like cowards from the demonic cult. Yong Soa grits his teeth, claiming they will rise again to defeat the cult, no matter the cost. Looking at this self-righteous leader, our boy can't tell the Alliance apart from the demons. Entrusting his sect to these snakes is a regret he'll take to his grave. Refusing to let this tyrant claim his life, Suwoon smiles through the blood. He takes his fate into his own hands and leaps backward off the massive cliff. As he plummets into the dark abyss, his mind races back through a tragic life, cursed to remember every single horror he had ever witnessed. See, when the war broke out, his minor sect was used as meat shields. To save his brothers, Suwoon desperately memorized mountains of Alliance records to secure their safety. But it was a lie. Dying in a pool of blood, his perfect memory proved useless without raw power. He desperately wished he had trained his martial arts. In his final moments, the jade bracelet on his bloody wrist begins to burn with an otherworldly green light, responding to his bitter regrets. Suddenly, the scene shifts. Suwoon wakes up on the hard ground of a training yard, getting poked in the head with a wooden sword. Time has wound back 30 years. Waking up, our boy is hit by a wave of phantom pain so intense he thinks his mind is playing tricks on him. But this isn't just a memory flashing before his eyes. Looking around, the scenery takes him completely off guard. He's standing right in the middle of the Tai sect's training grounds, surrounded by faces he hasn't seen in decades. Standing right before him are his long-lost junior siblings, alive and well, looking at their senior brother like he's completely lost his mind. Overwhelmed by emotion, Suwoon throws his arms around them in a desperate hug. In his past life, these two were slaughtered like dogs, and seeing them breathing is a miracle. Believing this is just a final, pleasant hallucination before death, Suwoon pinches their cheeks and smiles, eager to savor every detail of his lost family. But the illusion breaks when Guy Chileong, a wealthy bully sponsored by a merchant guild, demands a spar. In the past, this punk used his family's influence to beat disciples half to death. If this really is a deathbed dream, Suwoon decides he's going to use it to settle an old score. He grips his training blade, ready to give the bully a taste of his own medicine. Enraged by the disrespect, the bully charges, unleashing a vicious wanderer's sword art called the Triple Phantom Blade. It's a crude, high-momentum style designed to target the opponent's eyes. In his past life, Suwoon memorized these movements but lacked the physical ability to react. But this time, our boy effortlessly slips the lethal thrust, leaving his opponent completely stunned. See, in his past life, Suwoon was forced to memorize mountains of martial scrolls just to keep his allies safe. Now, those exact memories flow through his mind like a detailed blueprint, allowing him to read his opponent's trajectory instantly. Channeling his memories, our boy unleashes his sect's basic technique, the Lesser Heaven Sword Art. His wooden blade moves in a perfect arc, bypassing the bully's guard with ease. The strike connects flush, shattering the bully's nose and sending him flying. Getting to thrash his former tormentor with a supposedly trashy, low-tier technique feels incredibly satisfying. Humiliated and bleeding, the merchant guild heir tries to rally, screaming threats about his family's vast influence. But the damage is done, and he collapses face first onto the dirt. While the younger disciples cheer in disbelief, Suwoon stands victorious, wearing a smug grin. Believing this is his final deathbed dream, he gladly accepts having no lingering regrets before passing on. That peace is instantly shattered when his senior sister lands a brutal punch right to his jaw. She berates him, terrified that the guild will pull their funding and starve the sect. Rubbing his swollen face, Suwoon freezes as the sharp pain of the punch registers. Hallucinations don't hurt like this, meaning he isn't dreaming. Before he can process the shock, she knocks him flat on his back again. As his soul practically leaves his body, the truth finally hits him. He has actually returned to the past. Waking up in the infirmary, our boy tries to make sense of the madness. Jin So-eun has just been knocked out by his own junior sister, but his mind is racing with a much bigger problem. 30 years in the future, the demonic cult wiped the Murim Alliance off the map. Because of his absolute photographic memory, he was tasked with memorizing every single secret manual before the end. He sacrificed his own body to record every technique, begging to spare his sect brothers. But the Alliance betrayed him, claiming his memory was too dangerous to exist, and left him to die in a pool of blood. Yet here he is, back in the past. Armed with the ultimate library of martial arts in his head, he easily crushed Gai Qiliang, an opponent who used to be completely out of his league. The only physical link to his future is the Azure Dragon Bracelet, a relic taken from a demonic cult leader. But before he can decipher its power, a furious shout echoes from outside, demanding his head. The angry father of the kid he just beat down is here, threatening to cut off all funding to the Tai sect. The spineless sect leader is on his knees, begging for forgiveness and apologizing for our boy's actions. Hearing those apologies brings back the horrific memories of his past life, where his entire sect was slaughtered like cattle. He will not let that future repeat itself. Snapping his medicine stick in half, the reborn genius decides he's done playing the victim. If this greedy merchant wants a piece of him, he's about to get exactly what he asked for. Guy Yansiak, the wealthy guildmaster, sneers as he prepares to leave, but before he can, a voice rings out from above. The reborn genius looks down from the roof, ready to play. Mockingly bowing, Jin So-eun introduces himself as a simple country bumpkin before dropping down. The merchant immediately snaps, recognizing the brat who broke his precious son. Our boy casually reminds the old man their ages aren't that different, before remembering he's currently in his teenage body. Sardonically, he mocks the master for throwing a tantrum over a simple spar. When the merchant yells about dirty tricks, the reborn martial artist throws it back, citing the 10 disciples his son hospitalized. He mocks the idea of Qiliang entering the prestigious academy with such pathetic skills. Furious, the guildmaster grabs Jin So-eun by the collar, threatening to cut off all sponsorship to the struggling sect. But our boy doesn't flinch, offering only a cold, mocking smirk. The merchant laughs, gloating that the Tai sect is on the verge of ruin and will starve the moment he pulls his funding. But he has no idea who he is dealing with. See, the Murim Alliance allows the top sects to recommend one disciple for special admission. The guildmaster only sponsored this third-rate sect to buy his weak son a free pass. Jin So-eun dares him to pull the sponsorship, completely unfazed. Before the merchant can react, the young master grabs his hand with an iron grip. With a terrifying grin, the reborn genius asks if his precious son was simply rejected by every other sect. The merchant trembles, realizing the kid has him completely figured out. With a sickening crack, our boy begins to crush the merchant's hand, forcing the arrogant master to his knees. Leaning in close, he prepares to deliver a final warning. Our boy drops a harsh reality check on the merchant guildmaster. Begging others for protection is entirely useless in this dog-eat-dog world. If you want to survive, you need the strength to defend yourself. Furious at the disrespect, the merchant launches a sudden punch, but the reborn genius easily dodges, his eyes cold as he remembers the ultimate lesson his past life carved into his soul. Leaving the sect behind, our boy sets out to solve his biggest problem. To survive the future, he needs to secure a massive boost to his weak internal energy before it is too late. He tracks his target down to a dark, web-infested cavern. Hidden deep inside is the legendary 10,000-year fire ginseng, a spiritual elixir capable of granting massive power. See, the location of every rare elixir was recorded in the Murim Alliance's confidential files. Thanks to his perfect memory, he knows exactly where to find them all. But standing between him and the prize is a hideous, human-faced spider beast. The monster is far more grotesque in person than the records ever let on. For a split second, he contemplates a heroic sword strike before remembering he is currently weak. Why waste precious energy fighting fair when there is a much easier way? Lighting a simple wooden torch, the teenage martial artist unleashes a brutal fire ambush. The beast's hard shell cannot protect it from being roasted alive. As the monster screams in the flames, he laughs like a maniac. He mockingly thanks the Murim Alliance for their detailed records, clutching his fist as his path to power begins. The spider boss is down for the count, but our boy isn't celebrating. Even after taking down the beast and devouring the rare glowing herb whole, he stands in silence. The brutal reality hits him like a freight train. His power hasn't spiked, forcing Jin So-yoon to scream in sheer frustration. It's simply not enough to change his fate. Consuming the legendary treasure barely budged his dantian. The Taiyi mental methods are either complete garbage, or he is just that untalented. It's a bitter pill to swallow. Collapsing to the cold stone floor, the weight of the future crushes him. Once the great war between the orthodox and demonic sects erupts, weaklings like him will be used as cannon fodder. See, in his past life, he watched his fellow disciples get slaughtered like dogs. To stop the massacre this time, our boy must become a powerhouse in the Murim Alliance. Clawing desperately at the dirt, he realizes the academy entrance exam is only a year away. If he remains this weak, history will repeat itself and everyone dies. A dripping stalactite sparks a memory. He needs an elixir, and he knows exactly where to find one. The Guy family's legendary snow plum elixir is about to go missing. See, a wealthy merchant spent a fortune to secure the treasure for his son, only for it to be stolen right before consumption. The culprit was never found, leaving the prize up for grabs. Armed with absolute memory, the little general dives deep into his mind library. He is ready to scan every record he's ever read. Tracing the red path of old Murim Alliance reports, our boy searches for any microscopic clue the thief might have left behind in the archives. Sorting through mission logs, his mind connects the dots. He compiles the names of every wanderer in the area, finally uncovering the exact target he needs to hunt. Relying on his perfect memory, our boy pinpoints the exact culprit who stole the legendary snow plum elixir in his past life. This thief has no idea a hunter is already locking onto his trail. But before he can make his move, the azure dragon bracelet on Jin So-eun's wrist begins to pulse with a strange, dark energy. The demonic relic is reacting directly to the dead beast. Sinister tendrils erupt from the bracelet, digging deep into the corpse to harvest the spider's core. The artifact is actively devouring the monster's raw, toxic energy. Instead of poisoning him, the surge of power fills his body, making his eyes flare with newfound strength. Jin So-eun bursts out laughing as a massive wave of energy courses through his fist. See, in his past life, our boy kept this bracelet as a souvenir from a defeated demonic guardian. He never expected the old war trophy to awaken in this timeline. The demonic relic purifies the spider's toxic core, channeling refined power directly into his Taiyi mental method. His internal energy skyrockets, proving the heavens haven't abandoned him just yet. Meanwhile, at a grand banquet, the wealthy Guy family is celebrating their purchase of the Manhwa elixir. The guild leader's son brags about his guaranteed future, ignoring the annoyed look of Hong Seryeon. The pink-haired daughter of the Taiyi sect leader is consumed by guilt. She remembers when Jin So-eun took the fall for her, getting beaten bloody before leaving the sect to protect them from harassment. Suddenly, a young disciple interrupts the arrogant young master's bragging, running up to Seryeon with urgent news. The young disciples rush over to present their favorite senior sister with food, completely ignoring the arrogant young master Guy. Left in the dust, the humiliated noble vows to get even after the banquet ends. Seryeon tries to act casual, but the kids immediately read her mind. They tease her for spacing out over Jin So-eun, leaving the pink-haired martial artist blushing red in embarrassment. When the kids try to save the best meat for their missing senior brother, Seryeon decides to teach them a lesson. She snatches the food right out of their hands. She threatens to eat every last bite if they don't dig in, forcing the kids to stuff their faces. Laughing, Seryeon silently wonders where the jerk went. Meanwhile, as night falls, the banquet continues in full swing. The guests feast and drink, completely oblivious that a heist is already underway. A shadow slips across the rooftops, using high-tier movement techniques to escape the compound and vanish into the surrounding forest. Stopping in the woods, the thief Ju Jongmak admires the glowing snow plum elixir. He laughs, boasting that this treasure will grant him enough internal energy to master his ultimate palm technique. But his victory is short-lived. A sudden lethal slash cuts through the dark, severing the thief's head before he can even blink. A mysterious hand catches the falling box. Jin So-eun steps from the shadows, locking onto his prize. With the legendary elixir in hand, the little general has officially hijacked his first target on the path to power. A bloody robbery in the dark. A ruthless killer steals a crimson box containing a legendary treasure, leaving nothing but dead bodies in his wake. Rewind to a few days prior. In a dusty hunter shop packed with lethal steel traps and heavy bows, a shady business transaction is about to go down. Our boy Jin So-eun walks in with a grin, looking to purchase weapons designed not for wild beasts but for capturing people. The scarred shopkeeper boasts of his deadly inventory, but So-eun isn't interested in skinning animals. He demands a heavy-duty trap strong enough to shatter a bear's leg. Staring at his reflection, the young martial artist's demands grow sinister as he laughs about sending his targets straight to the afterlife, making the seasoned merchant sweat with regret. Back in the present, the thieves celebrate their easy victory. The senior brother sneers at his fallen opponents, completely convinced that their getaway is clean. His accomplice steps forward to confirm the kill. They plan to hide the corpses and report them missing, ensuring their bloody tracks are completely wiped clean. But first, they cannot resist laying eyes on the prize. The box opens, revealing the radiant glow of the legendary snowplum pill. That is when a third voice joins the conversation. Out of nowhere, a masked intruder stands right between them, pointing out a major flaw in their division of loot. Before the killers can even process the intrusion, our boy snatches the pill right out of their hands, flashing a mocking grin as he slips away. Enraged by the absolute disrespect, the senior brother orders an immediate kill. The junior accomplice lunges forward with a lethal slash, determined to reclaim their stolen prize. Dodging a flurry of lethal sword strikes, our boy mocks the killers for calling him a thief when they stole the pill first. The junior accomplice lunges with a massive slash, but Jin So-eun easily slides out of the way. With a smirk, Jin So-eun warns his attacker to watch his step. A split second later, a heavy iron bear trap snaps shut, crushing the accomplice's leg and leaving him screaming in agony. As the junior accomplice writhes on the ground, the senior swordsman barks out in anger, calling Jin So-eun a coward and demanding he reveal his identity. Disregarding the threat, our boy kicks a stray rock across the clearing. The senior brother steps forward to retaliate, only to trigger yet another massive steel trap that instantly pins his leg to the forest floor. Standing tall amidst dozens of glowing blue traps, the young martial artist gloats, declaring himself the new owner of the pill while exposing their crimes. See, Jin So-eun already deduced the culprits by matching the missing victim's timeline to the sudden surge in internal energy of two specific Chongcheng sect disciples. He explicitly names the two killers, Gu Il-mu and Zhonghan Gi. Despite their threats of sect retaliation, our boy remains completely unbothered, laughing off their desperate warnings. But the killers aren't finished. Unleashing raw internal force, the junior accomplice violently shatters the steel traps, binding them in a desperate surge of power. Surprising Jin So-eun, the enraged swordsman breaks free completely, swearing to rip the thief apart. Jin So-eun turns tail and runs, leading the enraged swordsman deeper into the dark woods. Seeing their target flee, the killers eagerly chase after him, confident they can hunt him down. The killers think they have him figured out. They decide to follow his exact footsteps through the leaves, laughing at the thief's pathetic attempt to escape their wrath. Leaping down to corner our boy, the killers smirk, thinking they have him dead to rights. They mock his struggle, declaring that his life ends right here. As they step forward to strike, our boy's eyes flash with a hidden grin. They didn't realize they just stepped directly into a lethal minefield. A massive network of heavy iron traps snaps shut, brutally crushing their legs and pinning them to the forest floor. Wailing in agony, the crippled swordsmen demand answers. Jin So-eun calmly explains that the safety zone was so narrow it required absolute zero-error precision to navigate. Staring in absolute terror, the senior brother realizes the sheer impossibility of moving like that in the pitch black. He demands to know what kind of monster he's dealing with. Unsheathing his blade, our boy reveals that his flawless memory is his only gift from heaven. With a swift slash, he silences both killers under the cold moonlight. Elsewhere, at the grand headquarters of the Taiyi sect, a new conversation unfolds. Chief strategist Juk Samyong drinks tea as they discuss the balance of power in the martial world. Martial Alliance elder Namgung Taewon notes the rapid rise of powerful new factions. He coldly suggests that it is finally time for the old order to be replaced. At the tea table, the political chess match begins. The chief strategist realizes Namgung is backing a rival sect, but warns that replacing one of the Alliance's legendary peaks requires a massive scandal. With a sinister smile, Elder Namgung drops a bombshell. He exposes Taiyi sect's secret corruption, accusing them of selling off their sacred admissions for personal gain. A tense meeting unfolds as a scheming elder questions if the Taiyi sect is abusing the privileges of the 108 peaks to satisfy their own greed. Playing the hypocrite, the elder claims he has no personal designs on the territory, asking if these privileges shouldn't honor those who fought during their darkest hours. With a calculated pour of tea, he laments the tarnished legacy of the Murim Alliance, masking his true ambition under the guise of righteous concern. Inside a quiet inn, our boy Jin So-yoon is deep in meditation, pushing his body to the absolute limit under the cover of darkness. Absorbing the legendary snow plum pills grants him 30 years of internal energy, allowing the reborn warrior to finally surpass the power limits of his past life. Step by step, our boy descends the stairs to find the tavern worker dozing off, waking him with a casual greeting after days of intense isolation. Starving from his breakthrough, he demands anything edible. Though the kitchen is closed, a heavy stack of silver coins quickly turns a closed kitchen into an open feast. As the bribed worker sprints to wake the sleeping chef, Jin So-yoon notes that cold, hard cash is still the ultimate shortcut in this world. To secure those funds, he had unleashed the Azure Dragon bracelet on wild beasts, extracting the life force of predatory tigers to fuel his own chi. Cashing in the tiger pelts was just a bonus, but now our boy faces a new dilemma regarding the true cost of using the bracelet's power. The Azure Dragon bracelet's soul-absorbing ability is highly dangerous. If the Murim Alliance suspects it mimics the forbidden heaven-devouring art, it will bring absolute ruin to both him and his sect. But deep thoughts have to wait when starvation kicks in. Our boy finally gets his massive feast served hot, and he wastes no time digging in. The waiter lingers nearby, eager to share the latest local gossip with his high-paying customer as he devours his food. Word on the street is that a legendary spiritual elixir was stolen right out of the Gyeryong Merchant Guild's grand banquet. Hearing that the Murim Alliance has sent an elite investigation team to hunt the culprit makes the actual thief choke on his noodles. If they caught a suspect, an innocent person is taking the fall for his crime. But to his massive relief, the trail went completely cold. The gossip doesn't stop there. The next grand celebration is already lined up in Hefei, hosted by the powerful Iron Sword sect. Hearing that name triggers a dark, painful memory from his past life that he can never forget. During that exact banquet 30 years ago, Jin So-yoon's own foolishness forced his father to kneel and beg for forgiveness before a mocking crowd of martial artists. The memory burns with deep humiliation. The reborn warrior clenches his fists, swearing he will never let his father suffer like that again. Resolving to steer completely clear of the Iron Sword sect at all costs, he leaves the tavern to forge a new path. So much for staying away. Despite his vows to avoid the Iron Sword sect, our boy finds himself right in the middle of their grand banquet, trading blows in a high-stakes duel against the sect leader's own grandson. At the Taiyi sect training grounds, the disciples are pushed to their absolute limits. The gold, silver, and bronze brothers collapse in exhaustion after a grueling routine of downward strikes under the scorching sun. As they catch their breath, the talk turns to their senior brother, Jin So-yoon. It has been a week since he vanished without a word, leaving the younger disciples anxious about his sudden disappearance. Rumors fly as they wonder if our boy fled to protect the sect from the Gyeryong Merchant Guild's wrath, but their grim theories are cut short by a sudden shout from the gate. The young menace has finally returned. Walking through the gates with a heavy sack, So-yoon is determined to avoid the Iron Sword sect's upcoming banquet to shield his father from future humiliation. His thoughts are interrupted as the junior disciples spot him and rush over in excitement. They crowd around their returning hero, eager to show off their progress with the lesser heaven sword art. So-yoon happily greets the kids, but the warm welcome is shattered by a booming voice. Jin Tae-sun, the outer hall leader and our boy's stern father, demands to know where he has been. Hoping to play the affectionate son, So-yoon dives in for a hug, only to get smacked straight on the head. Tae-sun berates him for the massive chaos he caused at the Merchant Guild. Before the lecture can continue, the defeated senior brother Guy barges in, furious and demanding a rematch. But instead of fighting, our boy mockingly shields his eyes from Guy's supposedly dazzling aura. He loudly praises Guy's power while subtly bringing up the stolen snow plum pill. The psychological bait works perfectly, sending the humiliated rival storming away in a fit of rage. Ignoring his father and Seryon's confusion, the returning prodigy opens his sack to reveal a mountain of sweets for the younger disciples, warning them to share the loot fairly. Junior sister Seryon pulls our boy aside, explaining that the Gyeryong Merchant Guild is currently too busy with the banquet to retaliate. Relieved but emotional, she begs him to stop carrying the sect's burdens alone. But the peace is short-lived. Suwon learns that the Taiyi sect has also been invited to the banquet. Fearing a trap, his father Jin Taesan decides to go alone to shield the disciples from danger. Mid-discussion, a young disciple steps forward holding a dry, stale rice cake. He saved it from the Merchant Guild's table just to share it with his favorite senior brother. Deeply touched by the kid's loyalty, Suwon doesn't hesitate. He wolfs down the hard cake and tells the boy to take all his expensive sweets in return. With the banquet looming, our boy realizes that dodging this event will only invite endless future harassment. The only way to stop the disrespect is to face it head-on, leading the Taiyi procession straight to the gates of the Iron Sword sect. Arriving at the venue, Hall leader Kang Chae-seok gets in Suwon's face, warning him not to cause any trouble. But with enemies lurking around every corner, staying quiet is going to be near impossible. Hall leader Kang won't stop nagging, and Suwon notices his father is unusually quiet. But any deep thoughts are shattered when the old man smacks him on the head, accusing him of rebelling. Before they can enter the gates, a group of green-robed martial artists tries to push past. They smugly claim they sent a disciple ahead to cut the line, completely disrespecting the queue. The leader proudly identifies himself as Cheongsa of the Qingju sect. Hearing the name of Nanjing's most prestigious faction, the weak-willed crowd immediately steps aside to let them pass. The name instantly triggers Suwon's memories. In the future, this prestigious group allies with Gai Chiliang, eventually treating the disciples of the Taiyi sect like absolute slaves. Feeling untouchable, the Qingju disciples start openly mocking Taiyi, laughing that such a pathetic no-name sect is about to be kicked out of the 108 peaks. Before they can finish their laugh, our boy grabs their shoulders. With a massive, mocking grin, he asks if they said they were from the Jugju or Jaksu sect. The crowd gasps as the Qingju leader turns back in sheer disbelief. Suwon doesn't hold back, casually asking if he heard their prestigious name from a dirty latrine. Driven mad by the public humiliation, the young master draws his blade. He lunges at our boy, determined to wash out the insult to his sect in blood. Before the blades clash, a cold voice stops the fight. Seong Moran, the granddaughter of the Iron Sword sect leader, steps forward to demand order at her grandfather's banquet. See, before Jin Soun regressed, the Iron Sword sect was hungry for dominance. Sharing Hefei territory meant war. Two suns could not exist under one sky. In his past life, our boy got baited into a losing duel. To stop it, his father had to beg on his knees, a humiliation Jin refuses to repeat. Back in the present, a line dispute is cut short by a red-haired warrior. Song Moran, granddaughter of the host, steps in to crush the conflict. She apologizes for the trouble and offers to escort the Taiyi group inside, showing an unexpected level of respect that immediately raises flags. As they walk the corridor, the Merchant Guild's rep tries to charm the lady. Moran remains completely professional, keeping her focus locked ahead. Our boy watches her. In his past life, Moran had zero connection to them. His actions are clearly warping the timeline, creating a new set of variables. Entering the grand banquet hall, Jin keeps his guard up. Unearned goodwill in the martial world usually hides a venomous snake. High on the dais sit the sect rulers, Cheonwol and Jutak. They welcome the wealthy merchants with loud laughter, playing the generous hosts. The mood sours when Jutak openly laments that a genius ended up with a third-rate sect like Taiyi, tossing a massive insult to their faces. Moran nudges her father to formally greet the Taiyi leaders. Jutak's jovial mask slips, replaced by a cold, sizing-up stare. As the Taiyi leaders bow, Jutak locks eyes with Jin Taesan. He coldly asks if it has been 20 years since that incident, freezing the room. The mention of a past incident immediately puts our boy on high alert. Seong Jutak isn't just making small talk. He openly disses the young disciples' talents right to their faces. He tells the other sect leaders not to waste time on a third-rate garbage school like Taiyi. This level of public disrespect is designed to force a reaction. But instead of backing down, Jin So-eun steps up and casually calls the Iron Sword sect leader a nuisance. The entire room collectively holds its breath. When the enraged host demands to know what he just said, our boy plays it off with a smug grin, claiming his inner thoughts just accidentally slipped out. He ruthlessly lectures the high-ranking elder on basic etiquette and how a true martial artist shouldn't belittle others, delivering a masterclass in polite disrespect that leaves the room stunned. With a killer glare, our boy asks if the apology is accepted, while the furious leader crushes his porcelain cup, pushed to the absolute limit. Before blood can spill, a scout rushes in, announcing the arrival of the Murim Alliance's strategist. The entire banquet instantly drops the feud to go suck up to the heavyweight guest. As the hosts scramble to prepare gifts and secure influence, Jin So-eun remains completely unbothered. He decides to stay behind and grab a prime seat while everyone else plays politician. Suddenly, the outer hall leader grabs our boy by the collar, shaking with anger. He demands to know why the kid is acting so reckless with their dangerous hosts. But Jin points out the man's own hand was already on his hilt. If So-eun hadn't baited the anger away, the sect would have been forced into another humiliating apology. He then turns to his father, asking what really happened 20 years ago. The old man's bitter silence confirms there is a dark history they still need to face. Seong Moran steps in to cool the fuming host, offering the Taiyi group a premier seat inside to talk. With the immediate conflict diffused, our boys' group is escorted into the inner pavilion. They are treated to a VIP feast overlooking a scenic pond, a level of luxury the small sect rarely sees. Jin So-eun introduces himself but immediately questions why Moran isn't greeting the Murim Alliance strategist. She explains that her sect's patriarchal rules exclude women from important matters, but Jin So-eun knows her secrets. While her brother Seong Mo-hyan monopolizes the sect's resources, Moran is a dormant genius destined for greatness. Moran apologizes for her father's hostility, blaming his lingering regret over a past merchant dispute. But the young warrior isn't here to play nice or accept cheap peace offerings. He bluntly demands to know the Iron Sword sect's true motives for the invitation, reminding her that history's bloodiest assassinations often start at banquets. Stunned by his sharp edge, Moran smiles it off, calls him interesting, and takes her leave. As the red-haired lady departs, the rest of the Taiyi group remains tense and confused. Outside, a crowd of wealthy young lords immediately swarms Moran, trying to court her with empty flattery. But she completely vanishes, slipping away to the quiet of the rooftops. Refusing the company of average suitors, Moran realizes only one man caught her attention tonight: the confident Jin So-eun. Up on the rooftops, a sharp-eyed onlooker spots a suspicious movement down in the courtyard. The pink-haired Taiyi disciple is being led away by Gai Cheol-young, completely isolated from her allies. Gai Cheol-young sports a sinister smirk as he guides the nervous girl, prompting the roof watcher to anticipate a chaotic show. Back in his room, Jin So-eun is interrupted by a sudden knock. Opening the door, he is stunned to find Seong Moran waiting in the dark for a late-night confrontation. Night falls, and an unexpected knock brings the returned warrior to his door. Outside stands young Lady Song of the rival Iron Sword sect, extending a sudden invitation to a late-night banquet. Though Jin So-eun immediately declines the offer to rest his exhausted body, the lady plays her trump card, revealing that his junior sister Hong Yua has already headed to the gathering. In his past life, this very banquet ended in a humiliating trap that ruined the Taiyi sect. Knowing the danger, our boy realizes he has no choice but to step straight into the fire to protect his sister. As they walk, Lady Song takes offense at his warnings, claiming her sect would never resort to cheap traps and accusing the young master of harboring a deep inferiority complex. When she insists her sect won't act like street thugs, the returned genius simply smirks. He proposes a high-stakes bet. Her brother Seong Mo-hyan will absolutely try to humiliate the Taiyi sect tonight. She scoffs at his prediction, branding him a delusional madman, but the duo continues onward to the glowing pavilion where the trap is already set. Inside the banquet hall, the disrespect is already flowing. Loudmouthed disciples openly mock the Tai sect's place among the legendary 108 peaks, laughing at their silence. With Hong Yua cornered and forced to endure the insults, the instigator raises his cup to demand a response, declaring that dirty puddles must be eliminated for the greater good. Our boy crashes the party, casually sliding in while sending a rival disciple flying. He loudly agrees with their trash talk, instantly drawing everyone's attention. While his junior sister Hong Yua keeps her composure under the insults, a smug green-robed disciple tries to corner her. But Jin So-eun interrupts, walking in with the rival sect's lady. The annoyed pest tries to lecture him on respect, but our boy ignores the noise entirely, playfully telling his pink-haired companion he only showed up to keep her out of trouble. Scanning the room, the regressor spots the real powerhouses who couldn't care less about the petty squabbles. These are the Anhui genius Namgung-san and the host of the banquet, Song Mo-hyun. The green-robed instigator isn't done yet, stepping up with a smug grin to demand if the returned warrior plans to speak up in his sister's place. Instead of rising to the bait, the genius grabs a massive roasted drumstick and takes a bite. He casually agrees the Murim needs clean water, but notes it only works if that water isn't toxic. See, 60 years ago, the Qingju sect was blacklisted from the legendary peaks after their disciples slaughtered their own brothers for power. Our boy decides now is the perfect time to bring it up. Taking a slow sip, he publicly declares he'd never trust a sect of backstabbers in a war. The room goes dead silent as his mockery sinks in. Absolutely enraged, the disciple grabs the genius by his collar, screaming at him for revealing their dark history. But our boy doesn't even blink, remaining completely unfazed by the threat. Just as the clash is about to erupt, the host of the banquet, Seong Mo-hyun, steps in to break it up. He demands to know what the disciple is doing, warning that disrespecting guests invited by the Iron Sword sect is a direct insult to his family name. While others try to argue about who started the fight, the host shuts down the excuses. He points the finger directly at Jin So-eun, accusing the regressor of intentionally diverting the topic to disrupt their peaceful banquet. Seeing the trap closing in, junior sister Hong Yua tries to step forward and take the blame, but our boy shuts her down, bowing politely to apologize for bringing up the green-robed disciple's dark history, completely stunning the rival lady Song. The returned warrior plays the submissive guest, declaring they will take their leave to keep the peace. He turns his back on the crowd, gesturing for his junior sister to follow him out of the pavilion. But the trap is already set, and the host isn't letting them walk away that easily. He halts them in their tracks, stating that letting an insult to their guests slide would destroy the Iron Sword sect's reputation. With the rival disciples grinning maliciously, the host lays his cards on the table, challenging the returned genius to a sparring duel. As the trap springs shut, Lady Seong can only watch in absolute dread. Instead of panic, our boy lets out a dark, maniacal laugh. He glances back at the terrified lady with a victorious smirk, silently proving that his prediction was right all along. The trap was always inevitable. The pink-haired menace Song Mo-hyun demands a duel, sending shockwaves through the sect. While our boy Jin So-eun smirks at predicting the move, the others know this is a death trap. Back at the Tai sect, the elders explode in anger over Jin's reckless decision. Junior sister Hong Saryeon warns that a single strike from the enemy's massive greatsword could easily turn fatal. Seeing Saryeon tear up in terror, Jin tries to laugh it off, bragging that he has a secret plan. But his jokes only make the elders even more furious at his apparent lack of worry. Through the yelling, Jin's father remains dead silent. The young martial artist begs them to trust him just this once, causing the frustrated elder to storm out in a huff. With the room clearing, Jin locks eyes with his father. A heavy, silent understanding passes between them as they prepare for the dangerous trial ahead. The next day at the Iron Sword sect headquarters, Saryeon rushes in, frantic and out of breath. She delivers shocking news. Jin's father has already gone ahead. Terror hits Jin as he realizes his father is walking straight into a trap. Without wasting a single second, our boy bolts down the hallway at full speed. In the main courtyard, a massive crowd gathers to watch the humiliation. Jin's father, the external hall leader, is kneeling before the smug Iron Sword sect leaders, begging for his son's life. Watching from the side is Murim Alliance strategist Zhuge Somyong. he instantly sees through the theater, realizing the Iron Sword sect is using this duel to ruthlessly drive their rivals out. To save his son, Jin's father slams his forehead onto the stone, blood splattering as he begs for forgiveness. This is a brutal level of disrespect. The smug elders mock the situation, bringing up old memories of when Jin's father made similar mistakes. But the sight of his father bleeding and begging makes Jin So-eun's blood run cold. Stepping into the courtyard, our boy demands his father stand up. But his father begs him to stay silent, unwilling to watch his son get slaughtered by their ruthless rivals. Seeing his family humiliated, Jin's fists clench in absolute rage. Seong Mo-hyun smirks at the pathetic display, demanding our boy kneel down and beg alongside his father. Instead of kneeling, Jin draws his weapon, telling his father to step back because the time for apologies is over. He's ready to handle this with cold steel. As Saryeon and the elders watch in pure terror, our boy promises he won't disappoint them. This isn't just reckless pride, it's a calculated gamble to prove his strength. Song Mo-hyun signals the start, raising his massive greatsword. He knows the heavy weapon has a massive advantage over the Taiyi sect style, which prioritizes speed over raw power. Jin charges in first, unleashing the lesser heaven sword technique to overwhelm his opponent. But the pink-haired successor easily blocks the initial strike, trash-talking our boy's speed. The two exchange a flurry of high-speed blows, but the sheer weight of the greatsword begins to dominate, shattering the stone courtyard under the force of the impact. Watching from the sidelines, strategist Juga Somyong notes the immediate gap in power. Seong Mo-hyun smirks through the dust, mockingly asking if that's really all the challenger has. Our boy struggles under the crushing weight of the greatsword. The smug successor taunts the Taiyi sect, calling them nothing as the two clash in a brutal display of speed versus raw force. Gritting his teeth, Jin realizes his opponent is a monster of raw strength. Every block rattles his bones as he fights to stay on his feet. Song Mo-hyun sneers, recalling a past challenger who insulted his sect. To teach him a lesson, they branded the man's chest and back with a searing hot sword. That humiliated victim was none other than Jin's father, Jin Taeson. Horrified by the brutal truth, our boy loses focus, looking back at his father in absolute shock. Exploiting the distraction, the pink-haired menace lands a devastating kick, sending Jin crashing across the courtyard. The crowd watches in horror as our boy barely stands back up. Song mocks the family, claiming both father and son are brainless cowards who only know how to swallow humiliation. But despite the insults, Jin refuses to back down. Jin launches back into the fray with the lesser heaven sword technique. Expecting the same basic form, the successor is stunned when Jin suddenly slips past his heavy guard. Channeling decades of future combat experience, our boy effortlessly deflects the massive blade. A furious Song screams in disbelief as Jin prepares a lethal counteroffensive. Unleashing the first basic form, our boy slices clean through the defense to draw first blood. Song recoils in shock, his heavy greatsword rendered useless. Resting his blade, Jin smirks, mockingly asking if this pathetic display is all the Iron Sword sect has to offer. Jin So-eun sends his opponent crashing to the dirt with a brutal kick. Bleeding and battered, the young master of the Iron Sword sect can only gasp in shock as his grandfather watches the humiliation unfold from the sidelines. Refusing to accept defeat, the red-haired fighter pushes himself up and swings his massive blade in a desperate strike. But our boy effortlessly slips past the clumsy attack, treating the desperate onslaught like child's play. A heavy blade slams into the stone, separating the fighters. As the dust settles, the red-haired challenger stares in absolute horror, realizing his body is no longer responding the way it should. His internal energy is completely haywire, interrupting his flow and leaving his hands trembling. The overwhelming strength he once took pride in is vanishing, making it nearly impossible to even grip his weapon. Jin So-eun closes the distance, calmly noting that his opponent's internal energy training is severely lacking. With one swift strike, the Iron Sword sect's precious elixirs prove useless as their star disciple is disarmed and pinned to the floor. As the blade looms overhead, a terrifying memory flashes through the beaten warrior's mind. He remembers the exact moment our boy laid hands on him earlier in the clash, realizing it was no ordinary strike. Panicked and desperate, he screams accusations of forbidden sorcery. He points a trembling finger, demanding the crowd capture Jin So-eun as a spy of the dreaded demonic cult. A booming voice cuts through the chaos, commanding silence. But the humiliated loser continues to crawl forward, desperately begging his grandfather to believe that he was cheated by dark arts. Under Jin So-eun's cold gaze, the accuser screeches that our boy has mastered the forbidden heaven-devouring art. The shocking claim sends a wave of murmurs through the crowd as they whisper about the outlawed chi-stealing technique. The elder steps forward to deliver a stern warning. While the Murim Alliance ruthlessly punishes users of forbidden arts, a false accusation carries a deathly high price for the liar. As the observing elder watches the pathetic display unfold, our boy stands tall, refusing to let the Iron Sword sect trample his people. He recounts how he patiently endured their insults to resolve things peacefully, but their arrogance demanded a fight. The red-haired loser wanted to humiliate the Tai sect and steal their prestigious rank, but now that his grand scheme has utterly failed, he resorts to desperate, petty lies of sorcery to save face. Our boy coldly declares that a sect this pathetic has no right to enter the 108 peaks. The spectators quickly turn on the losers, whispering that the Iron Sword sect has completely ruined their own reputation with false accusations. Cornered and desperate, the red-haired disciple begs his grandfather to believe him, swearing on his life that his energy was stolen. The Iron Sword leader remains silent, deeply conflicted. Song Mohyun screams that he will gladly accept execution if he is lying, forcing his grandfather to take action. With a heavy sigh, the old leader steps forward and abruptly calls off the fight. But our boy refuses to back down, calling out the blatant attempt to frame a smaller sect just because they lost. The grandfather roars in fury, demanding to inspect Jin So-eun's body immediately. As the old leader tries to force his way, Jin So-eun yells for his father to halt, refusing to let the Iron Sword sect touch him. He demands they wait for the Murim Alliance to arrive. Turning to the neutral hall leader, Jin So-eun stakes his own life on the line to prove his innocence. Ready to die for his family's honor, our boy draws his blade and challenges the Iron Sword sect leader to a duel. Ready to risk it all for the dignity of his fallen sect, Jin So-eun steps forward with absolute resolve. He formally throws down the ultimate challenge, demanding a sparring duel with the Iron Sword sect leader himself. The insult instantly triggers the leader's explosive wrath. Unleashing a crushing aura that sends the onlookers stumbling back, the old monster demands to know how a mere brat dares raise his voice. But before a clash can erupt, Jin So-eun's father leaps into the fray, shielding his son. He refuses to stand by and watch his child march to an early grave. Unmoved by family bonds, the furious tyrant lunges forward to wipe the Tai sect off the map once and for all, leaving the crowd frozen in terror. But a single command echoes through the arena. The Murim Alliance strategist steps between the factions, ordering everyone to stand down and sheathe their weapons. Even under the weight of the Alliance's authority, our boy refuses to stand down. He looks the strategist dead in the eye and flatly refuses to sheathe his blade. The sect leader fumes at the disrespect, but the strategist demands a reason. Jin So-eun calls out the officials' hypocrisy, asking why they sat back and watched his sect get humiliated without doing a single thing. Amused by the youngster's audacity, the strategist openly admits he delayed intervening simply because he was entertained. He then presses the boy on what his true goal is. With lethal conviction, Jin So-eun points his blade directly at his enemy. He makes his demand crystal clear. He wants the head of the Iron Sword sect leader. The strategist immediately sees the brilliant tactical trap. If the boy loses and dies, he becomes a martyr, forever branding the Iron Sword sect as lawless scum and sealing their political ruin. Truly impressive. The strategist instantly shifts the battlefield, demanding to know if the Iron Sword sect is willing to stake its own name board on this accusation. Backed into a corner, the old tyrant claims he will take responsibility with his blade. But the strategist immediately raises the stakes, asking him to wager their ultimate sacred heirloom, the ninefold sword. Terrified of losing their greatest treasure, the sect leader's confidence vanishes as he frantically tries to backpedal. To settle the matter once and for all, the strategist proposes a direct examination of the boy's dantian. With his political trap completely shut, the sect leader is forced to comply. Stepping forward, the strategist orders our boy to remain calm as he begins the inspection. He sends a surge of pure internal energy directly into the young warrior's meridians. If he had practiced the forbidden heaven-devouring art, his dantian would be a chaotic vortex of stolen energies. But the strategist pulls back and delivers the shocking verdict. The boy is completely innocent. As the crowd reels, the defeated opponent screams in frantic denial, begging his grandfather to do something. Realizing his reputation is about to be utterly destroyed, the old monster's eyes flare with desperation. Completely ignoring the Alliance's authority, the sect leader lunges forward and violently grabs our boy. He ruthlessly forces his own oppressive energy into the kid's meridians, sending him screaming in agonizing pain. The old tyrant's reckless assault backfires instantly. As the onlookers watch in horror, the sect leader's hand suddenly erupts in blood, his own oppressive energy violently recoiling against him. Jin So-eun collapses to the ground, prompting the strategist to demand what the old monster has done. The forced inspection only confirms the absolute truth. There is no trace of the demonic art within the boy. Even as blood drips onto the stone floor, the young warrior refuses to submit. Surrounded by his worried father and sect members, he uses his remaining strength to demand a public apology for the tyrant's crimes. As the onlookers watch in stunned silence, the boy vows to make the Iron Sword sect pay a worthy price. But the strain is too much, and he completely blackouts from the trauma. With the young warrior unconscious, the strategist steps in to enforce the rules of the wager. He coldly orders the trembling sect leader to keep his promise and hand over the sect's ultimate heirloom. Sometime later, inside a quiet medical chamber, our boy finally regains consciousness. Still fueled by pure rage, he instantly bolts upright and screams his enemy's name. But our boy isn't alone in the room. Across the desk, the strategist slams his book shut, mockingly asking if the dramatic performance is finally over. Locked deep inside the damp dungeons, a disgraced heir screams for mercy. Song Mo-hyun desperately begs his grandfather to believe him, claiming Jin So-eun used a forbidden demonic art. But the Iron Sword sect leader coldly turns his back. He leaves his grandson to rot without a single drop of water, completely stripping the screaming idiot of his succession. Meanwhile, in a peaceful guest house, our boy wakes up to find a legendary presence waiting for him. Sitting across the room is none other than the Murim Alliance's chief strategist, Jugo So-myung. Before the regression, this white-haired genius was the ultimate brain of the orthodox factions. Jin So-eun realizes immediately that trying to play dumb in front of this man is a death sentence for his secrets. Jugo So-myung lays out the entire truth. He knows the regressor provoked the fight on purpose, faked coughing blood by biting his own mouth, and played the victim to steal the sect's legendary relic. Silence fills the room as the strategist demands to know exactly how long he has been planning this. Our boy stays quiet, carefully weighing his next move against the sharpest mind in the land. But the heavy tension evaporates the moment Jin So-eun spots his prize. The legendary ninefold sword sits resting against the table, and our money-hungry genius immediately starts drooling over its market value. Jugo So-myung can only watch in utter disbelief as the brat starts calculating how much gold he can make by selling the priceless holy sword. Jin So-eun casually claims he only wanted to crush the Iron Sword sect's arrogance. The strategist narrows his eyes, trying to comprehend how a mere third-rate martial artist could anticipate every single move. Refusing to say another word, our boy packs up the heavy blade. He boldly walks out on the man whose advice is worth 10,000 gold coins, prioritizing his new weapon over political games. Before Jin So-eun can escape with his new sword, the chief strategist stops him. The mastermind isn't about to let the regressor walk away without getting real answers. Jugo So-myung slams a small chest onto the table. He offers a trade, the truth behind how our boy predicted the heir's demonic arts lie, in exchange for the contents inside. Jin So-eun claims he merely exploited the heir's ego. In reality, he used the Jade Dragon bracelet to purify the absorbed energy, keeping the strategist completely in the dark. The kid flips the chest open and nearly loses his mind. Resting inside are 3 iron heart pills, the ultimate spiritual elixirs of the Iron Sword sect. Our money-minded genius immediately celebrates this massive, unexpected jackpot. The strategist demands to know why So-eun took such a massive gamble, fighting dirty instead of securing a clean, easy victory. Our boy's expression turns deadly serious. He reveals that a simple win would look like a fluke, but risking his own life to prove his innocence ensures the Iron Sword sect can never oppress his home again. Clenching his fist, the regressor stares down the strategist. He refuses to let his legacy be trampled, showing a fierce resolve that catches the mastermind off guard. Jin So-eun demands to know if the strategist thinks the Tai sect is completely devoid of honor. The heavy silence in the room stretches thin as the two men lock eyes in a battle of pure wills. Suddenly, Zhuge Samyang bursts into loud, genuine laughter. He realizes this kid is far more interesting than he ever expected, leaving our hero sweating at the old man's erratic mood swings. Amused by the show, the mastermind tosses another reward across the room. Jin So-eun catches it, his eyes widening in absolute shock as he reads the characters carved onto the black token. It is an unconditional letter of admission to the legendary Murim Academy. Holding the priceless token, our boy realizes this gives his sect the golden ticket to send another disciple straight to the top. But the strategist throws a massive curveball, telling So-eun to join the Mantong office after graduation. Knowing the office is notorious for endless night shifts and zero personal life, our boy freezes in pure horror. Zhuge Samyang offers him a spot among the elite, but before the kid can process the threat, the strategist leaps right out the window. Leaving through the door is apparently too boring for the mastermind. Left behind with the token, our boy screams in absolute horror at the thought of a life of endless paperwork, but the strategist's laughter only echoes in the distance as he departs. The next day at the Iron Sword sect, Miss Seong watches the guests depart, haunted by the brutal trial. She remembers the bloody confrontation and the heavy price paid to defend his sect's honor. Jin So-eun sneaks up right behind her, breaking her deep train of thought. Flustered and startled, she nervously admits she was reckless, unable to meet his eyes as she struggles to speak. She looks up, asking why he would push himself to such dangerous extremes during the duel. Beneath the falling wisteria petals, the weight of his life-threatening gamble hangs heavily between them. Recalling the strategist's warnings, the regressor stares back with absolute intensity. He asks if she expected his sect to just quietly accept humiliation, leaving her completely stunned. Our boy Jin So-eun confronts Lady Song Moran, asking if she expected the Tai sect to simply swallow the humiliation. Overwhelmed by guilt, the young lady bows her head under the wisteria and offers a sincere apology. Knowing a simple apology won't erase the damage, Seong clenches her hands in shame. But instead of seeking revenge, So-eun tells her to look up, ready to accept her peace offering since expecting the sect leader to apologize is useless. When she tries to promise her grandfather's intervention, So-eun stops her with a gentle smile. He insists they break this endless cycle of hatred, moving Seong Moran to tears as she looks at the young warrior's unexpected kindness. He demands she take responsibility by reforming the Iron Sword sect from within. After all, despite their bitter rivalries, both sects ultimately belong to the same Murim Alliance, and war will only tear them all apart. Standing in the falling petals, Seong Moran is left speechless by his maturity. She reflects on the pride of her brother and grandfather, whose absolute refusal to apologize dragged their faction into this mess. Breaking down into tears, Song Moran ignores our boy's frantic protests about martial artists not crying. Wiping her eyes, she presents a mysterious black box, offering it as a genuine token of her regret. Soon opens the box and instantly freezes in shock. Inside lies the legendary steel protection pill, a priceless spiritual elixir reserved only for the direct descendants of the Iron Sword sect. Gifting him this ultimate treasure, Seong Moran bids farewell with a bright smile, hoping their next encounter will be on friendlier terms. Our boy salutes back, parting ways with his former enemy. Days later, So-eun returns to the Tai sect gates. Before he can even take a step inside, his master and the younger disciples rush out, welcoming their returning hero with open arms. Our boy is instantly mobbed by the youngest disciples, all begging for details about the legendary sword style he used to humiliate their rivals. The gray-haired disciple Yunho steps forward, hesitating as he recalls his previous doubts about the sect's future and their combat style. The young fighter admits he used to regret joining a mocked faction with an incomplete technique, but seeing So-eun's victory changed everything, filling him with genuine pride. Vowing to train harder, Yunho swears to master the lesser heaven sword technique to match his senior brother's level. Our boy welcomes the challenge with a big smile and a firm fist bump. Sect leader Hong Mungi steps forward to greet the returning warriors, completely unable to contain his pride after their crushing victory over their arrogant rivals. For over a century, the Taiyi sect suffered in silence under the Iron Sword sect's shadow. Now, one young warrior has accomplished what none of the adults could. When the leader suggests a massive feast to celebrate, the bearded hall leader in charge of the books immediately rejects the idea due to their empty coffers. Determined to celebrate this historic victory, Hong Mungji and the hall leaders pool their own personal savings to fund the banquet, sparing their empty treasury. When So-yoon asks if they are really having a feast, the manager plays deaf and runs off to secure meat with the new cash. 3 legendary Iron Heart pills are revealed. 2 are handed directly to the top talents, while the final pill is offered as a prize for the most improved disciple. Back in the offices, the bookkeeper stresses over the immense value of these pills, calls the decision to give them away complete madness. It turns out a desperate father named Guy Yanseok offered to trade 3 entire guest houses just to secure a single pill for his son. The sect leader shuts down the trade, refusing to sell their hard-won dignity to reward a disciple who shirked his duties during the crisis. Chiliong watches his father stress over the missed fortune. Despite the complaints, the young disciple knows his dad is secretly proud of the sect's resolve. Fed up with the talk of money, the young warrior decides to take action. He storms out, ignoring his father's angry shouting as he heads out to find his own wealth. At the bustling Wang clan village, whispers spread about the legendary wealth of the Wang manor. Rumor has it the merchant clan's only daughter is a peerless beauty, yet mysteriously, she remains hidden away from the world. Inside the estate, clan head Wang Gyumsan returns home, sliding open the doors to greet his daughter So-so. But behind those doors lies an unexpected chill. Frost coats the entire room, preserving frozen fruit and toys to keep the air freezing. Sitting in the center of the icy chamber is So-so, smiling weakly despite the biting cold. So-so shows off a new embroidery pattern she hopes to turn into a robe for her father, but beneath Gyumsan's warm response lies a desperate, painful truth. Years ago, physicians confirmed the grim reality. So-so suffers from an incurable condition that burns her body from within, and the freezing qi only slows her inevitable death before her early 20s. With her birthday approaching, Gyumsan asks So-so what she wants. Instead of luxury, the frail girl shares a simple, heartbreaking wish: to see the market outside. Trapped behind sealed windows to stay alive, she longs for a glimpse of the world. To her surprise, Gyumsan reveals he has already commissioned a specialized ice-cooled carriage to grant her freedom. Overjoyed, So-so throws her arms around her father. Holding her close, the powerful merchant head silently vows that he will spend every coin of his vast fortune if it means saving her life. But as night falls over the manor, tragedy strikes. Gyumsan stands alone in the icy room, staring in shock at a ransom note, declaring that his daughter has been taken. Gyumsan's fury explodes as he orders his guards to mobilize, swearing to pay any price to bring his daughter back safely. Outside the estate, the reward poster draws a massive crowd, but our boy Jin So-eun already knows this is his golden ticket to fund his debt-ridden sect. Sprinting like a shadow through the forest, the martial arts prodigy moves rapidly toward the target location. He targets the Wang clan manor's crises, preparing to make a dramatic hero's entrance. He locates the hidden cabin, remembering a grim report from his past life where a girl's body was found buried nearby. Peering through the roof, he spots So-so tied up, but things take a critical turn as her internal fire flares up, throwing the kidnappers into a panic. Realizing their hostage is dying, the thugs decide to eliminate the evidence, forcing our protagonist to crash down to stop them. So-yoon descends like a hurricane, slicing through the guards with lethal speed before they can even raise their blades. Through her feverish haze, So-so catches a glimpse of her savior as he cuts her bonds, her body burning with lethal heat. Our boy checks So-so's fever, realizing her body heat is far beyond a simple cold. As she panics upon waking, he introduces himself as a righteous martial artist from the Taiyi sect to put her at ease. Spinning a quick cover story about a casual night stroll, he plays the perfect hero. Still burning up, So-so gratefully introduces herself and promises that her wealthy father will reward his kindness. But when he offers to find a physician, So-so desperately stops him. She reveals that without intense cold qi, her internal heat will flare out of control and completely incinerate her meridians from the inside out. Recognizing the danger, the prodigy taps into his past life memories. He searches through the vast library of medical texts he memorized during his time in the Murim Alliance, hunting for a matching diagnosis. Sifting through the mental archives, he pulls up a legendary medical compendium. The text describes a rare condition where overwhelming internal heat causes the body to slowly burn itself alive. The shocking truth hits him. This isn't a disease, but the legendary solar physique, and according to the texts, there is absolutely no cure in existence. Inside the rundown cabin, our boy Jin So-eun realizes the harsh truth. The young lady before him has the solar physique, a fatal, incurable constitution that burns its host from the inside out. See, in his past life, the Wang clan head spent his entire fortune searching for his daughter, but her body was never recovered. The kidnappers must have panicked when she fell terminally ill, leading to a brutal end. But our protagonist remembers a way out. He leans down and tells the dying girl that he knows a method to alter her constitution, offering a sliver of hope in her final moments. Trembling on the wooden floor, the desperate girl sits up and begs him to save her life. She is willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Our boy tries to warn her that this is no simple fix, but she insists. She knows the difference between those trying to harm her and the one who just saved her from the kidnappers. See, Jin So-eun read an ancient archive about a master who reversed the lunar physique, but the treatment requires consuming a highly potent medicinal pill and practicing daily cultivation that locks her out of all other martial arts. The restrictions don't scare her at all. Surrounded by wealth in her past, her constitution denied her simple joys, and all she wants now is to live an ordinary life, raise a family, and grow old. Just as he agrees, the wood creaks. Embarrassing guests have arrived. Jin So-eun swiftly taps her neck, knocking her unconscious to protect his secrets before reaching for his blade. Outside, the remaining masked kidnappers surround the cabin. Realizing their messenger pigeon never returned, they move in to secure the hostage, completely unaware of the monster waiting for them inside. Our boy steps out of the cabin, confronting the intruders head-on. But he doesn't just draw his blade. He immediately calls out their true identity as members of the esteemed Namgung clan. The kidnappers panic. Realizing they've been compromised, the lead assassin demands to know who sent him, declaring that no witnesses can be left alive. But the little general couldn't care less about their threats. He calmly scratches his head and exposes their entire operation. They are secret lackeys working under Namgung Sangwon of the Azure Sky Merchant Group. He explains that they resorted to this pathetic kidnapping scheme because their merchant group could never surpass the Wang clan. Exposed and furious, the assassins decide to drop all pretenses. The attackers charge, unleashing the Namgung clan's signature Azure Sky Boundless sword art. Seeing this, our protagonist simply smirks. He knows this style better than they do. Jin So-eun easily counters, slicing through their ranks with effortless grace. When they call him a coward for slipping behind them, he reminds them they're the ones fighting 5-on-1. Desperate, another assassin attempts to execute the style's second form. But Jin So-eun dodges with ease, casually pointing out their flaws and lecturing them on how to actually execute the stance. The assassin screams in frustration. It makes no sense to him how a scrawny kid from a third-rate sect can completely read and overwhelm the legendary swordsmanship of a great clan. Seeing his men slaughtered, the leader steps up, charging his sword with heavy blue energy. He boasts that his ultimate killing technique is far beyond anything a nobody like Jin So-eun could ever predict. The leader unleashes a storm of slashes, but Jin So-eun's eyes track every single line. In a flash of blood and steel, he rips right through the leader's technique, leaving him shredded on the ground. Our boy explains that the Namgung clan's style is far from invincible. They don't even realize that a hidden counter stance exists, specifically designed to dismantle their signature swordsmanship. With the threat outside eliminated, the little general steps back inside the cabin. It is time to begin the dangerous procedure to alter the young lady's fatal constitution. By the next morning, the treatment is complete. The young lady nervously fidgets with her dress before looking up, shyly asking if she can call her savior her big brother. Our boy Jin So-eun wastes zero time. Crouching beside the bedridden girl, he initiates the treatment to save her life. Time is of the essence. A few days later, the training pays off. The young lady sits in deep meditation, a surging green energy enveloping her body. Our protagonist watches closely, noting that her physical body is weak, but her talent is undeniable. See, the process requires constant maintenance. Jin So-yoon has her consume bitter medicinal pills daily, teaches her the recipe to brew them herself, and trains her in the Tai breathing technique to purge the toxins. This ensures her survival. With the energy circulation complete, the treatment is finally over. The martial artist flashes a confident grin, telling her it's time to head home. But as they take their first steps back, she suddenly freezes in place. Confused, he turns back to find her trembling with hesitation. Clasping her hands tightly, she looks up with a blush and makes a sudden request, asking if she can call him brother. Jin So-eun gladly agrees, and as he reaches out to pat her head out of habit, he stops dead in his tracks. He remembers the harsh beating he used to get from junior sister Hong for touching her hair. But to his surprise, So-so quickly blushes and assures him that she actually doesn't mind the head pat. The martial artist is left completely clueless. They stroll down a dirt road covered in falling cherry blossoms. For So-so, who was locked away in a freezing ice chamber with blocked windows, this is the very first time she has ever seen spring. Finally, the duo arrives at the bustling Wang clan village. So-so immediately spots a nearby signboard bearing her father's name and points out their destination. Elated to be home, So-so drags the young martial artist forward, excited to reward him with a grand banquet. She envisions endless food and music, completely oblivious to what comes next. But our boy abruptly stops, pulling his hand away. He informs her that his job is done and he'll be leaving her here, catching the young lady completely off guard. Meanwhile, at the Namgung clan guest house, the divine dragon Namgung San demands answers from the chief strategist. He accuses the elder of breaking a promise to give a vital entry pass to his younger sibling. The strategist coldly tells him to pass the regular exam instead, but that path is a literal meat grinder. Known as the hellish regular exam, tens of thousands enter, but only 500 survive the brutal trial. When the elder reveals the pass went to someone far superior, Namgung San refuses to believe it. But the old man shuts down his insolence with a piercing gaze, reminding him who holds the power. Forced to back down, the young warrior apologizes. Still, the strategist mocks him, pointing out how pathetic it is for a direct descendant of the legendary Namgung clan to fear an exam. See, the clan is deeply divided. While the direct line holds the martial traditions, the collateral branch controls the money through the massive Azure Sky merchant group. Now the wealthy branch calls all the shots. To reclaim their status, Namgung San reveals a desperate gamble. The clan head is researching the forbidden sword-breaking form. This news shocks the strategist, who slams his fist down in anger. He warns the young warrior that this technique is a double-edged sword that will ruin both branches, but Namgung San refuses to yield. Desperate to save his lineage from falling behind, Namgung San demands to know the identity of the person who received the entry pass. But the elder remains silent. Back in the village, So-so stands in utter disbelief, pleading with Jin So-eun not to leave her behind. Jin So-eun points out that her disappearance threw the Hefei region into total chaos. Walking in together now would only spark dangerous misunderstandings, but So-so desperately begs him to stay so she can repay her savior. Instead of gold, our protagonist pats her head with a smile. Since she mastered the Tai breathing technique, he officially considers her a junior sister of his sect, and tells her that is reward enough. Turning on his heel, the martial artist heads out, reminding the young lady to keep taking her daily pills and circulating her energy. With a final wave, he bids her to live well. Nearby villagers immediately recognize the missing heiress, sparking instant gossip. While So-so stands frozen in disbelief, Jin So-eun walks away under the spring sky, his job successfully finished. Inside the manor, the pressure rises. Namgung San demands to know who received the academy admission token, leaving the sect elder in dead silence. Meanwhile, Jin So-eun strolls back empty-handed. His plan to collect a reward from the Wang clan crashed after he forcibly altered Wang So-so's constitution. To avoid suspicion of staging the kidnapping, he decided to walk away with nothing. He bets on the patriarch's gratitude to bring the reward to him, but a sudden realization hits. What if the man isn't honorable? Before he can worry, he spots a confrontation at the sect gates. Seryon is desperately trying to kick a persistent guest out, while our boy watches from a distance, jokingly preparing to inspect his junior sister's suitor. But playfulness turns to hostility when the intruder snatches a bundle straight from Seryon's hands, refusing to leave. That's the final straw. So-yoon steps in with a furious roar, demanding the man back off. Intercepting the stranger, So-eun warns him to stop forcing the issue. But the tension instantly shifts when the visitor reveals he was waiting specifically for him. Standing before them is Namgung-san, the legendary heaven-opening divine dragon of the Namgung clan, an elite powerhouse who shouldn't be here. Seryon is baffled, but So-yoon is internally reeling. In his previous life, this legendary figure never set foot here. He analyzes the situation, knowing a main family elite wouldn't move just to avenge branch family grunts. There is only one logical reason for this butterfly effect, the legendary sword. As So-yoon smirks, Namgung-san requests a serious private discussion. The elite warrior demands lodging and tea, acting like he owns the place. But the returned genius doesn't play by his rules, casually walking away to greet the sect leader instead. Seryon is left stunned by So-eun's sheer disrespect, while Namgung-san can only glare in silence. Back inside, the sect elders are so shocked by the disrespect they overflow their teacups. Our boy walks straight into the hall to greet the sect leader, catching the elders off guard. While his father fumes at the sudden disrespect, the leader remains calm and allows him to sit. So-yoon comes clean about using the Taiyi heart method to save the kidnapped child. Though he apologizes for sharing their secrets with an outsider, the sect leader praises his noble actions. Meanwhile, his greedy father wants to know if there's any reward. Before they can press him further, the returned genius casually excuses himself. He leaves the elders completely baffled when he mentions he has an important guest waiting. Outside, the younger disciples peek through the doors, completely starstruck by the legendary warrior's presence. But inside the room, the atmosphere is freezing cold. Namgung-san glares at the boy, disgusted by the sheer arrogance of a minor sect disciple. He expects submission, but So-yoon isn't easily intimidated. Cutting straight to the chase, So-yoon asks if this visit is about the academy admission token. The elite warrior is visibly rattled that his true motive was exposed so easily. Namgung-san claims the token was originally meant for him, but So-eun doesn't buy the excuse. He tactfully points out that if that were true, the chief strategist wouldn't have handed it over. The dragon failed his negotiation, and now he's targeting a weaker sect. As the elite warrior seethes in anger, So-yoon pieces the puzzle together. This powerhouse doesn't need the token for himself. He wants it to secure entry for his younger sister, Namgung-seonhwa. Realizing he can't bully his way through, Namgung-san changes tactics. He presents a legendary 7-colored treasure pearl, offering a fortune to buy the token back. Our boy stares at the priceless pearl, realizing the legendary warrior is desperate due to internal clan struggles. But this arrogant attempt to force a quiet deal only makes his skin crawl. A dark, bloody memory flashes through his mind, reinforcing his resolve. He would rather have his heart torn out than bow to empty threats. When the elite warrior warns that opposing his clan will bring ruin to the Taiyi sect, Jin So-eun doesn't flinch. He coldly tells the powerhouse to go ahead and try. To drive the insult home, our boy mockingly reminds him of how he easily disgraced the Iron Sword sect, sending the dragon into a seething, prideful rage. Pushed past his limit, the legendary warrior clenches his fist and demands a high-stakes duel. He challenges our boy to a sparring match, putting the academy token on the line.